It's a wonderful pleasure to welcome Becca Bartlett to this podcast. She is a young up-and-coming musician from Newfoundland, Canada. Becca, welcome to the show.
Thank
How
you
are you
so
doing?
much. Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, the excitement is shared across both parties. Um, so tell me about your music program. Before we recorded, you told me that you are attending the Berklee College of Music.
Absolutely, yeah. I graduated high school, I guess 3 years ago now, and my plan was originally to do music school and hopefully become a music teacher and release my own music on the side. And unfortunately, I found that my local university's music program wasn't for me. It was only classical, and my music is very much not classical.
Mhm.
So I actually discovered that Berkeley started offering a remote program after COVID, and they were able to teach voice online. So I auditioned, not really thinking anything of it. Like I didn't really have high hopes about getting in, and I actually got accepted into the program, and it's been really fantastic for me, honestly. It requires a lot of self-discipline, but it allows me time to work on my own creative passions and stuff while also learning all the things I want to learn from amazing professors.
Well, okay. So you're still in Newfoundland, right? The school I
I
think is based
am,
in
yeah.
Boston.
Yep, I do it. I do it over Zoom calls and over the web page. So some of my professors are in Boston, some of them are in California.
Mhm. So how's the program working out so far for you?
It's been really great. One of the things I love about it is that, like I said, I can kind of do it on my own schedule. I'm someone who has ADHD, so I find my most productive hours are like at random points in the day or in the nighttime. So regular school didn't really work for me. I felt like it kind of put me into a box that wasn't great. Whereas with this one, I can kind of really do it at my own pace and kind of support my creative hours from like 1 to 3 a.m.
I see.
It's fantastic.
Hmm. So I had some years of studying online because of COVID. And so I wonder, are the classes synchronous or asynchronous?
So the program I'd say would be mostly asynchronous.
Okay.
But then there are Zoom calls for every course once a week, so the prof can kind of check in with how you're doing and then teach some stuff and answer any questions. Which is great because I do get to meet my classmates, and I've actually collaborated with some of them with songwriting and music, which is really cool.
Mhm.
Some really talented people from all over the world. But yeah, it's mostly asynchronous, mostly kind of learn on your own.
I see. Yeah. So I assume that you have to send in an audition tape to the school in order to be accepted. So tell me about the making
Yeah.
of that one.
Yeah, so the process was you send in an application with all of your experience, why you believe you'd be a good fit for the school, and then you send in an audition video. I believe, yeah, it's a couple songs. One of them I did was actually an original of mine called The Silence We've Created. It's one of my favorite songs I've written. I was actually writing it during the time when the all the Black Lives Matter riots were happening when George Floyd had been killed. And
Mhm.
it's a song about how we as a society have just ignored too much in our lives. And one of the lines in it is, in the bliss of ignorance, we listen to the silence we've created. So it was really meaningful to me to be able to send in a song that I just felt so strongly about and that I felt had a really important societal message at the time. And I guess they resonated with it as well because I was accepted.
Yeah. Uh, Wonderful. So do you plan to publish that song on any streaming platforms?
Hopefully, yeah. It's not recorded yet, but I would eventually definitely like to release it.
I see. So, in terms of your own music, how would you categorize and define it?
My music, it's definitely hard to put into a genre, as I find a lot of musicians are. But I would say I sing mostly singer-songwriter type music, folk, pop type thing. Yeah, that's mostly my style.
I see. So, I'm guessing you're quite involved in the Newfoundland music scene. Would you say that
Absolutely.
the scene itself comprised of artists and musicians who may be a bit hard to define musically?
Yeah, definitely. I went to a songwriting retreat a couple weeks ago, and I was on a bus with a bunch of other musicians from Music NL, which is a wonderful organization we have here to help artists with like funding and different workshops and just getting to know each other. And we were all talking about it, and of course, we ask each other, like, what's your genre? What's your genre? And everybody's like, that's a great question. Because I feel a lot of us here, there's such a diverse music scene that we kind of do it all. Like some people one night will be, playing fiddle in a traditional Newfoundland band, and then they'll be in a, grunge concert the next night. I'm in a psychedelic rock band, and then I turn over the next night and do a folk gig. So we have a really amazing, diverse scene here that doesn't really nail anybody down to one type of genre.
Mhm. Yeah, I suppose the better question, if you ask any musician, is not what is your genre, but who are you inspired by? I think that would
Absolutely.
nail down better their style and what they're aiming for. So I
For
suppose
sure.
I'll leave that question to you. Who are you inspired by?
Yeah, so I've actually also had a hard time with that question in my life because I found that my music didn't necessarily sound like anybody's music.
Mhm,
However, I take a lot of inspiration from like Joni Mitchell, the Beatles, definitely, especially for a lot of my melodies and chords. Bob Dylan is a major songwriter inspiration for me, so I take a lot of like lyrical style from him. Stevie Nicks, like Fleetwood Mac is one of my favorite bands, so a lot of stylistic things I'd kind of take from her, Mazzy Star. So yeah, I find my work is a combination of a lot of different artists, a lot of 70s artists
mhm.
that have kind of come together, and then I have my own kind of unique thing going on that makes it a lot more modern as well.
I see. I noticed
Yeah,
in our video chat that you have a poster of David Bowie's Ziggy
I
Stardust album.
do. Ziggy Stardust. That is such a good album. Another
Yeah,
inspiration of mine.
yeah, he's a wonderful musician.
Absolutely. And this one up here as well is Terrapin Station by the Grateful Dead.
Oh, okay.
They're also one of my favorite bands. I love how just like experimental they are, and they also don't stick to one genre. They're like blues, rock, psychedelic, like all sorts of things. And over here I also have the an Abbey Road poster, one of my other favorite albums.
Yeah, it's a wonderful record. Um,
Absolutely.
I used to live in Canada for 4 years, although not in Newfoundland. And during that time, I amassed a pretty good collection of vinyls, which I had to leave behind because I moved back
Oh.
home. So I wondered, do you collect such physical musical media?
I actually don't. And the reason is I have a lot of friends who collect them. And I know that if I started collecting, all my money would go to it. And I just can't do that to myself. So I mostly listen to music on Spotify and just compile out of playlists. But every time I go to someone's house who has vinyls, I like just sit down on the floor and have to look through every one. So I absolutely love and respect having like physical media. I love CDs. I have a lot of CDs. But yeah, I find if I got into collecting vinyl, it would probably end pretty badly for me and my wallet.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I find that CDs is better both price-wise and portability. It's easier to move.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to be able to support artists through purchasing like a physical album.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've probably talked to a lot of musicians who have talked about, in the
Yeah.
digital age, it's very hard to make money off of streaming.
Mhm.
And I won't get too into that because that's kind of that's a lot, but yeah, no, it's great to be able to have a physical copy of something that you can kind of hold on to and look at the inserts and the art.
Mhm. So, I wonder if you are still performing music or do anything music related for money. If so, what is the most effective way that can be done?
So what I'm doing right now, I find a lot of musicians who are kind of pursuing it professionally, like me, who are producing music, like recording music and also gigging. We'll have seasons where they will focus more so on recording and then have seasons where they're focusing more so on gigs. So right now I'm in the gigging stage.
Hmm.
I'm performing usually about once a week, sometimes twice. And it depends where you're playing, but a lot of the time you'll make some money off of cover and some tips. Now it wouldn't be enough to make a living, of course, but it is awesome to have that extra cash along the way. And of course, it's just amazing to have people come out and see you and get to share music with you. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of live performance right now, which I enjoy more than recording. I'm definitely more of a live artist than I am
Hmm.
a online like releasing music artist.
I see. So, do you recall the moment when you decide that being a musician is your calling?
That's a hard question. I've known pretty much most of my life. I remember I had this little iPod when I was a kid that I used to record, I used to write songs on, and they were of course absolutely awful because I was like a little child. But I always said I was like, I'm gonna be a famous pop star someday. And yeah, music was just always me. It was always what I wanted. There was never any question. Um, I remember we used to do poetry units in class in elementary school, and I would always go up to my teachers and say, "Can I make it a song?" And then I would sing in front of the class. So I I think when I decided I really wanted to pursue it, I was in junior high in I was in all the bands and I was in this applied music class where we actually like a group of people would come together and play instruments for each other's songs. And I brought in some of my own songs and people were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Like we have to play this. Like you have to write more songs." And I was like, "Whoa, people not only like my music, but they want to play my music." And I think that for me, I was just like, "Yeah, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like there absolutely is nothing else for me."
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me about the music that you grew up listening to.
Oh, the music that I grew up listening to. I definitely grew up listening to a lot of like classic rock. A lot of church music as well, interestingly enough. My dad is a United Church minister, which is a United Church worldwide, or is that just a local thing? I'm not sure. But yeah, I grew up in the church, which was great for me performing. I definitely don't really see any remnants of that style of music in my music, but it did help me become a better singer, and it also helped me develop my love of like doing music with other people, like being connected that way. So yeah, I grew up with a lot of hymns, a lot of classic rock, a lot of like the Beatles, Carole King, Sarah McLachlan, those kind of musicians.
I see. So, did you get a chance to perform at the church at all?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hmm.
I'm still in a choir there actually. It's me and a bunch of people who are 50, 60 plus, which is
Oh,
actually
wow.
lovely. I really enjoy it. And I think the church was definitely, I'm not a, I definitely, I guess I am a bit of a religious person, but I'm also a spiritual person in a way. But the thing I love most about the church is like connectivity and also I just got very comfortable performing from a very young age. Like my parents would have to pull me off of the stage sometimes. I would just go up and start talking or singing while the minister was talking. So it definitely broke that barrier for me of being afraid of public speaking or singing.
Hmm. Yeah. I wonder if the church is still there and your dad still ministers there.
He's not a minister at that church anymore. He's actually retired, but the church is definitely still there and doing okay.
Hmm.
It's definitely a smaller population now, especially I think a lot of people have misconceptions about the church community
Hmm.
because of other denominations and the hateful messages they've spread. But this denomination of church is very progressive and accepting, and it's great to see people still coming together to share in religion and just community.
I see. Um, I recently converted to Catholicism in the wake of the pandemic, as well as there were other personal issues that I've encountered, and also a new understanding that I have in regards to Christianity. it's a multifaceted reason, but here I am, a believer in Christ, although in a different church denomination as perhaps your
Mhm.
dad. But I think it's quite important to realize that you don't have to believe wholeheartedly in every doctrinal claims that your church yeah professes, but the more convincing reason to be part of the church is the kind of person that being part of that church makes you to be, right? And
Absolutely.
which is why when people say that they don't believe in a given religion, they would not first say that, well, the claims of this religion are false. They just say that the people who believes in this religion are, hateful and or close-minded.
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of a thing that has happened over the years, and it makes sense because there are some terrible things that have happened through religious events and affiliations. But my whole thing with it, whenever I talk about it with anybody, my belief right now is that I think that there's something going on. There's some energy. Um, the universe is doing wonderful things. You know, God, but I think the main message that most religions will either say they believe in or genuinely believe in is just love. You know, pretty much every religion, love thy neighbor in some way is like the main thing. And I think a lot of the time, like that has kind of gotten lost over the years, people picking and choosing who they love. Um, but yeah, my favorite part of it is like people want something to believe in, and they want people who believe in the same thing to come together to be friends with and have connections with. And people coming together in a space to like worship and believe in love, just as a concept, and loving everybody and being kind and helping your neighbors is like a really magical thing to me, no matter what you really believe in, what little details. The main message is just like love.
Mhm. So I suppose I'm asking this both as a musician, as a person. Do you believe that love is hard or easy?
I believe that as a concept, love is easy. It is built into every one of us. Like we humans have this amazing capacity to love. We want it, like we crave it, whether it's romantic or platonic or anything like that, or the love of music or the love of art, something like that. It's really programmed into us. I think the only way it becomes hard is when people, we set up barriers for ourselves. You can't love this person, that's bad. You can't fall in love with this person, that's going to hurt you. But I believe as a person, love is never wasted. Even if it ends up hurting you in the end, it's better to have loved than not have loved at all, have loved and gotten hurt than have not loved at all. And I think the way I choose to live my life is just like spreading love wherever I can, being kind even when people aren't kind to me, and just trying to make positive things out of all the love that I feel that I have in my heart, even when it isn't always reciprocated.
Yeah, I believe it's often attributed to Freud, I think, but he said that it's better to have love and loss than not to have love at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that is the quote.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think love is easy to understand but hard to practice. I think which is the
Yeah,
entirety of Christian ethics, I think. I think you understand why you have to do these things, love thy neighbor and be charitable, but um, it's very difficult to do it every day at every moment because we're humans and we sometimes let our selfish desires take over.
absolutely. I find that when I look at my life, because I'm a very kind of like introspective and like philosophical person. I've had to think about a lot of this stuff over and over again, in terms of my own mental health too, to try to make myself feel better about existing, and especially about being. I'm a very like creative and emotionally affected person, and I find that like the people that are the happiest in life aren't the people who have the most or fulfill all their selfish desires and get all the people and the money they want and get the job that they want. It's the people that recognize that like being here and being able to love and loving the things that you have is like the best thing you can do. Being grateful for everything around you, like nature, music, your family that you might have, friends, strangers. Like those are going to be the happiest people because they're the people who are not constantly yearning for more. They're the people who kind of realize what's around them. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm doing a lot better now than I used to be, is because I've just completely thrown myself into music, which is my number one love. Like, that's who I am as a person. And I'm just so grateful for it. Whereas a lot of people, or even me in the past, would be really concerned because I'm like, oh, I'm not a good enough musician. I'm not going to be famous. I'm not making money, all these things. But if you really kind of boil it down to being grateful that you have it and that you love it in the first place, it's really life changing.
Mhm. Do you believe that creativity is an act of love?
Absolutely. I think that anytime an artist puts anything out into the world in any way, that is an act of a huge act of love. Creativity really it comes from the heart. Um, People don't need to be creative. Some people will do it for their jobs and get money for it, but a lot of the time we're creative because we're called to do something. We're called to make a painting, or we're called to write a script or a book or a song, something like that. And putting it out there is an act of love to the universe, to other people who might really enjoy it, and to ourselves for being vulnerable enough to take this like part of our soul and put it out into the world and be like, here you go, without worrying what people are going to think of it.
Yeah. I heard that the head of my church, the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, he says that artists are apostles of beauty. And I really like that phrase. Um, and I've also heard that someone said I couldn't conjure up his name right now, but I think it was Bertrand Russell who said that art is not necessary for life, but it makes all the other parts of life that are necessary possible. I wonder if
Yeah.
that's something that you resonate with.
My gosh, absolutely. Those are both like amazing quotes. And yeah, I definitely find that. I mean, I truly don't know what I would be doing without art and music. I, of course, could survive in certain ways. I could get a job that was, less meaningful to me. I could, I don't know what I'd be doing, but I find that like creating art, I also like to paint and I like to write different things. I like to write poetry. But doing art, especially music, just really gives me purpose. And it gives purpose to all the other parts of life, even the mundane parts. Like I always listen to my favorite album, American Beauty by the Grateful Dead, when I'm folding laundry or when I'm doing the dishes. And I just find that being able to create music, listen to it, and just take in art as a person really just like it enhances your life as a person. It makes it feel meaningful. Whereas all those things without it really might not be. We might even not feel like we have as much of a reason to live or do these things.
Mhm. Do you find that by making your music, you're expressing something that is inexpressible through other means, like speech?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was having a conversation the other night with my friend actually. He came over to write a song with me, and I was saying that like I find my emotions. I have, like I was saying earlier, I have very big emotions. And sometimes, like, they would tear me apart if I didn't put them into something productive. And sometimes I can't find the words to explain things, or even if I could find the words, there's no way to put that out there until I write it into a song. And suddenly the feeling is different. Like when I'm going through something really hard with my mental health or going through a breakup or some kind of friendship or family conflict, it's like the moment I turn it into a song, the moment I find those perfect lyrics or even just a perfect melody, suddenly it's something entirely different and it just makes sense. And I can sit in front of an audience and I would never go in front of a group of people and be like, oh my gosh, I've been so sad all my life and I feel like I don't belong anywhere and this person left me and I'm so sad and just like cry. But yet I can sit in front of all these people and sing this song and maybe I still might shed a tear or something, but it's just like it's a way to be vulnerable and transform these like feelings that would eat you up into something beautiful that people can really understand and resonate with.
Mhm. So, have you had a chance to find like like-minded people during your study at Berkeley?
Through my study at Berkeley, it's been a little bit more difficult because people are kind of doing their own thing in different time zones. I have been able to work with and write songs, collaborate with a couple musicians, but I find more so my focus is in my community.
Mhm.
So I've actually been able to. I was a little bit worried when I first started Berkeley because I was saying like one of the drawbacks of doing an online school is not having that connection in real life. I find that I really need to be in a room with people and play music with them and just experience that. And luckily, I've been able to do that through Music NL, through playing gigs around here, through my band, which has been really amazing because for me, music is not a solo thing. While I write most of my music by myself, it doesn't necessarily exist unless I have someone to really share it with, whether that's people listening over streaming services or whether that's people at a live show or whether I'm playing it with people, which has been the fantastic part of my life lately, getting to write with other artists. Newfoundland is an extremely talented place. I'm sure you figured out from interviewing a few other people here.
Mhm.
And I've been really lucky to be able to talk with them and work with them and just learn so much from their perspectives.
Mm. Yes, I have had a chance to interview numerous Newfoundlanders who are musicians, and I find that the range of music that is featured there, at least from the ones that I've talked to, is enormous. I'd love to
Yeah,
visit Newfoundland at some point. Yeah, you guys seem to be having
absolutely.
a wonderful scene right there.
You definitely should. It's an amazing place, truly. There's such a huge sense of community that you don't see in many places,
Hmm.
and that definitely translates to the music scene.
Yeah. So since you mentioned connections, I do find that so I'm also studying in university. I'm doing my master's program now. And I do
Nice.
find that it is rather difficult to find connections even with people who are essentially studying the same stuff as you do, and thus perhaps understand the topics that you are speaking of. But it is easier to connect with someone whose life experience does not exactly mirror yours. And I think it's a very strange and interesting fact about life. But it, for example, by doing this program, I was able to connect with more people than uh, going to my university classes. So I wonder if you've seen the same thing happening to you.
Yeah, I've definitely found that it's very important to yeah, to talk to people who have different life experiences and stuff like that. Because while it's great to connect with somebody who can really understand you on certain levels, getting the perspective of somebody who's gone through completely different things, who feels completely different things, is on a different path, just really opens your eyes to what else is out there. And that, you're not a singular being, like what you're going through isn't the only thing. Um, and yeah, I mean, I surround myself mostly with musicians. That's my life. I'm very kind of engulfed in it. But it's great. Essentially for me, a lot of my classmates, a lot of them are my own age, but then some of them are older people returning back to school and doing online school from places all over the world, just because they were passionate about music and they didn't get to do it in their career, and now they're um, kind of going back to it, which I think is wonderful. I love talking to older people because they've had such extensive life experience and they're at such a different point where they're able to look at things from a completely different perspective. And I find yeah, it's just very they're very insightful. So it's been great to be able to meet some of them and talk to them and learn, what they've done over their lives, what kind of music they're interested in, and kind of what brought them to Berkeley, to do the same program that I'm doing at 20 in their like 70s or 80s even.
I see. Yeah. That's a very nice thing about older people too, is that they have stories to tell and they are very ready to tell them. Like you just
Absolutely.
need to listen.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wonder if in as a music listener, is there an example of, say, an artist or a record where the the narrator speaks of a completely different experience than what you've been through, and you find yourself connecting to him or her despite that?
Oh, let's see. I gotta think about this for a second. I find the album Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs by Eric Clapton, or by Derek and the Dominoes, but Eric Clapton's band. That album is mostly about a woman that he was in love with, his friend's wife actually. And I've never been in love with my friend's wife. But then there's also songs that are about like um, like drug addiction and just troubles on the road, troubles with money, as a musician in the 70s. So I've never had any of those experiences, of course, but I'm listening to them and I'm just like, I can feel what he's feeling when writing those songs. I can feel that the kind of love that he had for this person, the pain that he felt. There's a song on it called what's it called? No one knows you when you're down and out, or something like that. And it's about essentially people wanting to be friends with you until you're kind of at your lowest, and then um they want you again when you kind of get back on your feet. And I've never really had that experience. I've definitely had rough experiences with friendships and stuff like that, but I'm lucky to not have experienced any sort of drug addiction or gambling addiction at this point in my life. But I love that album so much.
So do you believe that unrequited love makes for as good a topic as for making songs as regular love songs?
Oh my God, absolutely. I write a lot of songs about love. And um I've said before that I've been unlucky to have experienced so many different kinds of relationships, but then I am genuinely lucky. I've been hurt in a lot of different ways. But I've also, I've gotten to love a few different types of people, and some of my best songs are about love that was unrequited, love that the other person didn't know about, or love that they did and it just wasn't right, but I really wanted it to be. And I find while I can write some beautiful songs about love that was requited and love that, has a kind of soft wholesomeness to it, yearning is a really big thing to portray in songs. And I got a message the other night about my song "Dreams Are Made for Sleeping." My first single I released. It's on the streaming services right now, and somebody said to me, um, you know, I can relate to this song so much. I wish it was in my life sooner. And that song is about it's about a breakup, and it's about not wanting to wake up in the morning because you just wanted it to work so badly and it didn't, and now you're afraid to live life without them. And being able to write songs like that and then having people, because most people have gone through an experience like that. A lot of people you will talk to, most of them have gone through some sort of a breakup or being in love with somebody that didn't love them back. So being able to create music for people to relate to, it's just really amazing. It hits different than the regular love stuff a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's a wonderful song, I must add.
Thank you.
And yeah, I personally have been through these experiences where, my love for somebody isn't fulfilled or reciprocated, and it always ends in hurt feelings. And it is true that at at that moment you certainly believe that you cannot really go on living without them. But over time, You do.
Yeah. I always say, I say it'll either be all right in the future, or I'll get to a point where I don't care if it's not, in terms of like us getting back together, or the person loving you back. It's one of the things where you look back on it and you're just like, I really did not think I was going to be okay, but now I am. And a lot of my songs, I'm able to look back on that and be like, man, I remember how much that hurt in that moment. And now it's just a song. But for someone else listening to it, they're probably in that place where they're listening to it and they're like, "Oh my God, this is how I feel right now, and I'm not going to be okay." And they're able to kind of lean on the feeling of the song as if it was a person that you're going to lean, like putting out a helpful shoulder to. And I that's why I love music that portrays pain, because it's kind of like you can kind of lay your pain on that song for 4 to 5 minutes, and it's not going to hurt as bad anymore because you're sharing it.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm reminded of that song, "Half a Person" by the Smiths. That's a really good,
That's a great song. Yeah,
unrequited love song. Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm. So you do like the Smiths as well?
I do.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Yeah. So since we are talking in Christmas time, and of course you have your tree right there. What do you suppose the meaning of Christmas is?
The meaning of Christmas. Um, I believe that well, my favorite part of Christmas is getting to spend time with people and with family. And actually, again, I keep bringing things back to songwriting, but then again, that's who I am, right? That's all of me. I actually played a Christmas show the other night, and the last song I played was a song that I wrote about. I wrote it for my parents, and it's called "The Only Christmas Gift I'll Ever Need," and it's a song about like not wanting anything for Christmas. Um, just being with each other, being able to be close, and those simple moments. As a kid, you don't really realize a lot of the time how special these little experiences that you're having are. Playing in the snow, unwrapping gifts Christmas morning, going to see the Christmas parade. I know a lot of people unfortunately don't get to experience things like that. But when you're a kid, you just think that that's how it is. Christmas is magical. But as you grow up, you realize that Christmas is magical not because of the things that you got, or all the Christmas lights and stuff. It's magical because of the people you spent it with, and because they put so much effort into making it magical. And again, it comes back to love. So yeah, as a really simple answer, I would say that the meaning of Christmas is love, and just giving love to everybody that you can.
Mhm. Yeah. So I'm guessing your views on Christmas change as you grow older.
Yeah, definitely. I think that happens to a lot of people. And you'll find, even listening to Christmas music, there are like four different types of Christmas music. There's like, I want this gift, I want it to snow, I want my love to come home to me, and I don't want anything for Christmas. I just want you, whether you is family or friends or love. A lot of Christmas songs are about love, or like romantic love.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can just kind of tell, as much as it's fun to get gifts for people and all this stuff, and listen to Christmas music and go look at the lights. It's just amazing to have a holiday where the norm is to gravitate towards the people that you love and celebrate with them and show your appreciation through these different things or experiences.
I see.
Yeah,
I'm, I suppose my last few Christmases have been bittersweet too,
yeah,
because of many reasons. Yeah, they always come after a period of profound loss and confusion. Um,
yeah,
so, for example, if I permit me to get a bit personal, but I lost a loved one this year, and I have to go through Christmas, contemplating that in mind. And I could not go to the funeral, so there's that. But um, I but I think because New Year's is pretty close, right? And um, for me at least, Christmas is a time of remembrance, and New Year's is a time of renewal. and there's that hangover period between Christmas and New Year where you you ruminate on the past, but you also have to think of a way forward. And for a long time, I always wish that that period from the 25th to the first would go by as fast as possible. But now I kind of cherish those days.
Yeah. I'm really sorry to hear about your loss.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you on that one. I've been planning out actually what I'm doing the week after Christmas. I have a few I got asked to do a gig. I already have a couple. And I was thinking, I was like, I need that time really to reflect on the year. I always do a lot of reflecting. I actually have a document in my phone where I always talk to myself about who I want to be this year, what values I care about, and stuff like that, what went wrong, what went right. And yeah, I find it's very hard because yeah, at Christmas it can be a hard time. I unfortunately lost a friend this year as well. He passed away a couple months ago. And I know it's going to be a really hard time for his family and of course for us, his friends. And that's one of those things where it's like you kind of you experience Christmas and then New Year's comes around and like you were saying, a time of renewal, right? It's like understanding that you have to you'll never really move on, but you have to kind of move forward and figure out a way that you're going to be able to process it in the best way you can and keep going. Because a lot of it's hard to keep going a lot of the time. But unfortunately, yeah, time keeps moving. And I think New Year's is a great time to look back on all that and say, all right, here's next year. We made it through another one. Let's see what 2024 throws at us. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I think that's a really interesting outlook on it. And I definitely agree with you on New Year's.
Mhm. I'm sorry about your loss too, and I'll
Thank you.
keep I'll keep your friend in mind when I go to church tomorrow, just a Sunday.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So tell me about tell me about your band, the Paper Canoes.
Yeah, so the Paper Canoes, we started playing together, I'd say last March. Um, and it basically was just a group of people who were like, me and Owen, he's the one of the lead singers and the guitarist. We were like, oh man, we really want to have a band. And I've been a bass player for all my life, and he
Mhm.
is just like multi-talented, really great guitarist and singer. And he had a friend who was great keyboard player and singer as well. And then we found an amazing drummer who was also one of our friends. And we all happened to have the same love, maybe a bit too much love for psychedelic rock and like the Grateful Dead. Um, which like a lot of people around here don't necessarily listen to that type of music or haven't really gotten into it. So we all started playing together, and I think the main thing about us is that we um, we really like to be experimental. We don't like to nail ourselves down to anything specific. We just like to jam and see what happens. And I've got to tell you, like the energy in that room when we're playing together is unlike anything else. I love performing solo and I love, writing my own songs and hanging out. But when I'm with a band, it's just like a completely different thing. It's like you could almost see the energy like flying everywhere. So yeah, it's incredible to be able to work with those guys. We've done only 3 gigs so far, but we're playing some more in the new year.
Mhm.
And it's really cool because it's a very different style than my music. So I'm really getting to have kind of the best of both worlds here.
Mhm. So tell me about the last gig that you guys do together.
The last gig that we did,
Yeah.
we did a show at a bar called Spirit. I play there solo a lot of the time, and so we got a gig for the band there, and we played for 2 hours, which is cool because while we do 2 3 hour practices, we'd never done a 2 hour gig before. Usually we do like a 45 to 1 hour set with some other bands, but this was just our show. So we got to play most of our songs that we have in our set list, and we got to do a couple jams too. And jams are really awesome because you never know what's going to come out of them. but everybody in our band is very individually talented. So we kind of get to experience talking about it after and being like, that jam was so awesome, man. I loved when you did this and I loved when you did that. And it's really cool. We had a great time. We had a great, the audience was dancing and everything, and it's
Mhm,
fantastic.
mhm. Yeah, speaking of psychedelic rock, yeah, I should really listen to Grateful Dead. Like, I should really get into them. They're
Absolutely.
they're one of those bands where, let's see, a good analogy would be, do you know that when you use a Windows computer, you always get a notification to get an update, and then there's
Yeah.
always an option to remind me later, but you always
Yeah.
click on it, and so to prolong the update, you have to postpone it. Yeah, nowadays they remove that and they just spring it up on you every time you shut down your computer. I think that's me
Yeah.
with the Grateful Dead. I always keep reminding myself that I need to listen to Grateful Dead, but after this, but yeah, I really should commit myself. Maybe that could be my New Year's resolution. Yeah,
Absolutely. I can send you some song recommendations.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it about the Dead and psych rock that appeals to you?
For me, I find that I like music that is different. There's something experimental about it, and then I like music that has a melody and chords and lyrics that make me feel something. And a lot of the time, you would think, oh, music that makes you feel something, okay, like ballads or like country songs, sad country songs. But for me, the music of the Grateful Dead, I can just feel, they do most of their music is live recordings, right? There are a lot of live shows and they just record them and then they put them out. And I find like there is so much energy in that music that literally just like comes out and is in the room with you when you're listening to it. And that's what I kind of aspire to do, even though it's not the kind of music that I make personally, except with my band. It's one of those things where, like, when I'm listening to it, I just feel like there's something so special. And a lot of their lyrics are very like um kind of like inspirational and just about nature and about appreciating the universe. And I listen to things like there's a song off the album American Beauty that I was talking about earlier called Broke Down Palace. And the lyric is lovers come and go, the river roll, 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 which I kind of interpret as like, people, lovers will come and go through life, but the river, the universe, like time keeps turning and things are going to be okay. And I just find their music so comforting to me in every time because I'm just like, no matter what happens to me, I always have music and I always have, the universe is there for me, nature is there for me, I can be connected to people. So I really love that about them. People kind of are like, oh, it's weird music that has a bunch of different guitars and sounds, but like when you really listen to it, there's something really cool going on there. They got the core hippie values.
Yeah. So makes me wonder, do you like to share music that you have a personal connection with to other people with the risk of knowing that they may not share the same connection as you do?
Do you mean like share music that I've made or share music that I
Oh,
listen to?
that you listen to. Yeah, should clarify that.
Yeah, I that one's been a hard one for me, definitely. I find a lot of the time like when I tell people to listen to the Grateful Dead, they're they're either not going to do it or they might not get it or they'll be like, What's going on here? What's this?" Um, but I mean, I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. I'll tell everybody about all the music I like and like they really can't shut me up about it. But I found like this is really personal. I feel bad for saying this, but I was going through a breakup a little while ago, and I looked at him and I was like, "But who else am I gonna find that likes the Grateful Dead?" And he was just like, "You'll find them." And I was just like, "I don't know, man." But yeah, I find yeah, connecting with people on music is really important to me, but that's the thing. I'm always going to be open about what music I like, whether it's like the most mainstream thing ever or the most obscure thing ever. And if anybody doesn't like that music, that's totally fine. Not, everybody can like what they want to like. That doesn't mean I'm gonna like them less as a person. Hopefully they won't like me less as a person. But yeah, everybody has their own thing, and hopefully I find someone who likes the Grateful Dead.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm sorry about your breakup.
It's okay. It was for the best.
Mhm. Yeah. I think for the majority of times, during my, my disillusions of relationships, it is for the best. It's the thought that comes to me via hindsight rather than immediately.
Mhm.
I think whenever I think of it, it is always the case that the relationship encountered a stage of difficulty or stagnancy or
Yeah,
stagnation, sorry, before the final disillusion.
absolutely. Yep. I look at relationships as learning experiences and good songwriting material. And some of them end better than others, but yeah, if there's one thing I've gotten out of all these experiences, it's some great songs and some great things to take with me throughout life as well. So I don't think that any relationship is a true loss. Um, there are things that you definitely want to go back and avoid, to avoid, trauma and stuff like that. But a lot of the time, some of my worst relationships have inspired some of my best songs.
Hmm. Yeah. Which brings me to I think what I think is the worst aspects of a breakup amongst the others, of course, is that once you've spent your time being personal with this person, being vulnerable, if you can use that word, and then the relationship is dissolved, and there's a certain risk that you find yourself being more closed up as a person because you thought to yourself that what if I open up to this other person and he or she breaks up with me? What do I do? I cannot go through this heartbreak again. And I wonder, what do you do if that happens to you? If you don't mind sharing, of course.
It's very tough. I recently went through that actually. I've gone through that kind of over and over again where I'm just like I physically like I can't do this again. If I go through one more thing like this, I'm gonna lose complete hope. And honestly, I think the main thing is just like that people always say this, it's like the most cliche thing, but like you have to love yourself before someone, before you're ready to love someone else. And it's one of those things where I have literally had to sit down and like hug myself and be like, "Hey, whatever happens, you're okay. You did your best. You put yourself out there, and if they don't like that, they're just not the person for you." And that is so true. Like I believe that if people, if someone's meant to be with someone, they'll find them someday. And everybody else along the way is teaching them something. And as long as you remain true to like loving these things about yourself that you share, if you it's like a little orb or something. You're like, this is my personality. This is who I am. Do you like it? And people are like, no, and they're gonna like bat it out of your hands, and they might break it. But it's up to you to take that and put it back together and hold on to it, um, and give it to the next person. It's very tough, but you just have to remember that like you're amazing as who you are, and someone is gonna recognize that and be a lot better than the person who didn't.
Mhm. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's lovely. So, tell me about some of the music that you are working on right now.
Yeah, so I'm doing a lot of songwriting right now. I find I have 70 finished songs actually, that would be ready to record at any point, when I get the money to go into studio. There's a song that I'm working on right now. I'm not going to share the name, but I will share some info about it. I'm hoping to release in the spring or in the summertime. And I used to actually write songs that, weren't as personal. I would tell stories about other people or experiences that I hadn't exactly gone through because I found it hard to put my own experiences into words. And I didn't want to write songs that I didn't feel were like completely true to what I went through. Otherwise it's not mine anymore. But with this song, I wrote it a couple years ago, and I kind of like I just sat down. I was so angry about something that had been done to me. It's actually a song that is a compilation of feelings I had about a relationship where someone really kind of took advantage of me and mistreated me, and took advantage of the fact that, I wasn't doing well mentally and I didn't trust myself and I didn't believe that someone could love me, as I was broken. And so he kind of came in and was like, "Hey, I'm the only one who's gonna love you," and didn't really treat me fantastically sometimes. And then it's also a little bit about friendship I had, and multiple friendships actually, where people have told me like, "Hey, you're a bit too much." And that's been really hard for me, feeling like I don't belong in situations, or that, my pain makes me weak and like not worthy of being loved romantically or through friendship. And this song, it's a piano ballad, a pop ballad, um, and it's about rising above that, and it's about one of the lyrics is like, "In time, I might be someone you don't recognize." Past all these lonely, aching nights. And yeah, I think it's a really empowering song, and I'm really looking forward to people hearing it, because I feel like it's something a lot of people will be able to relate to and kind of use as a stepping stone to realize that, like, we are so much more than what we go through. And the right people will love us for who we are, all our broken pieces. So yeah, that should hopefully come out in the spring. And yeah, I have, again, I mentioned my single Dreams Were Made for Sleeping. That one's out on all the streaming services. And hoping to put out more music eventually as well. Just have to get it recorded.
I see. I look forward to
Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, and I definitely have been through that situation friend-wise. And
Yeah,
you can certainly do a number to your self-esteem.
it's very tough. Yeah, it's something that, it takes a lot. It's taken like therapy and a lot of time to get past, to get past it to a point that I believe that I am a whole person, or someone that's worthy of being loved. And I really hope that people can listen to the song and realize that about themselves too.
Mhm. Yeah, I hope so too, when I do listen to it. So, a concluding question, Becca. What does music mean to you?
Music to me is, well, it really is who I am. Like, everything in my life surrounds music. My school, what I do in my free time, my relationships that I have, like with people, everything is just music. I feel like I'm so lucky to have something in my life that I love so much, that is like kind of, it's like a universal language, right? Everybody can talk about music. Everybody has a song that they love. You can ask anybody what their favorite song is. Like, chances are you're not going to find someone who's like, "I hate music." So I find that, like, I am the luckiest person in the world to be so in love with something that spans beyond humanity, beyond society, anything like that. Um, and yeah, again, music is it's just pure love, pure creativity, um, connectivity with people. And I find it's very meaningful to me. And yeah, what it means to me is just like it's everything. It truly is. It surrounds every aspect of my life. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on here today to talk about it. I could talk about music for like hours. So any opportunity is just fantastic. I really appreciate you're very insightful. And I appreciate your questions and comments.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. And yeah,
Of
you're welcome
course.
on this show anytime.
Thank you so much. Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, and thanks for being on the show.
Of course.